T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Coach on Fire Radio.
I am the tide, dancing through the fire. I am the champion, and you're gonna hear me roar.
Good morning, good afternoon, and a good evening wherever you are in this beautiful world. And a very warm welcome to my radio show, Let's Talk Relationships and Life. And it really is wonderful to have you with us today, and I'm very excited to introduce my guest in a moment. But first, I wanted to take a minute to talk to you about what you can expect to learn and how you will feel inspired by the shows, which are aired every other Saturday. And my name is Louise Armstrong, and I have a real passion and a drive to share all the information that I know about relationships, stemming from my own personal transformation, and now I'm hugely motivated to take my business to a new level. Because I really believe that all of us crave to be emotionally loved, and that might be on a romantic level, personal, or through friendships. And if we're unable to make that connection, it's really because we're emotionally wounded ourselves. So self-love really is the first step in healing before we can even look at making those emotional connections that we really want. And so many of us struggle with relationships. And perhaps right now you're going through a breakup yourself. Maybe you're recently divorced. Perhaps your partner's had an affair. Or you're struggling with the relationship with your mother or your father or your children. Or maybe you want to take your marriage to an even deeper level. Well, this is where we come in, because we're going to really help you to heal those wounds, love yourself, and make those emotional connections once again. Well, I have a wonderful relationship business helping individuals and couples all over the world. And now I feel it's the right time for me to give other experts a chance to share their expertise and knowledge. And this is where the show is going to be of great value, as I'll be introducing to you amazing coaches, therapists, motivators, and public speakers. You're going to learn valuable tips and advice and gain huge knowledge from people all over the world. Because life is all about relationships. The better the connection, the better the quality of life. And now I'm going to shut up and introduce my guest today, Daniel Faust. Now, Daniel, please tell me if I've pronounced your name, because I've said this a few times. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's fine.
Okay, thank you so much. Good. So I got that bit right. So Daniel, with us today, he's an author, a speaker, and training professional, and he's got over 18 years of experience with conflict resolution, management, leadership, time management, marriage within marriage, and the family. And he's the owner of Learn and Live, a dynamic business that offers training in a myriad of ways via consultation, workshop, seminars, social media, and books. And from the smallest group to the biggest audience, we can meet your needs, and he's available nationwide. So when you have your next event, or you just need an unbiased professional on your relationships dynamics, message Daniel for more details. And today we're going to talk about how divorces are really not as high as we think. We're going to discuss on 2 questions you can ask your spouse so you can increase communication and intimacy. And lastly, we're going to discuss what things to do that you can do daily in your relationship to thrive despite the trials and the tribulations. Wow, what a fun-packed show we've got today. And I'm very interested, Daniel, because, well, I've been married nearly 30 years now, but you know, we're still on the journey. We're still on the journey, and there's always room for improvement. So let's kick off with 2 simple questions that you can ask your spouse to communicate better, because communication is, foundational in a relationship, isn't it?
It is totally key with any relationship you have, including your spouse, because you have that proximity. Those 2 questions that you can ask, not just your spouse, but you can ask anybody in the world. Doesn't matter what nation, tribe, or tongue, gender, whatever it is. these two questions are valid. But most important in the marriage, because this person you're living with for life, is these two questions. The first one you would ask your spouse is your spouse more outgoing or is your spouse more reserved? That question will eliminate about 10% of your conflicts, understanding that one question. The second question you need to go over and to ask is your spouse more task-oriented or more people-oriented? Once you figure out the question of that, the answer to that question, that actually is about 90% of your conflicts in that particular regard. And here's a quick way to go over and to say, all right, now I have the two questions. How do I go over and figure that out? So let's say your spouse on the first question, outgoing and reserved, is more, you're at a baseball game. Let's just do that. Or soccer game. We're worldwide. So we'll just go whatever sport you go to. If your spouse is at that sport, are they going to be more engaging? Are they going to be interacting with tons of people? Are they going to talk to strangers? Are they going to go over and just be the crowd cheering type person? That would be more outgoing. If your spouse is the type of person that's like, I really don't want to go to the game, but I'll watch it on TV. I'll be by myself, or I'll just hang out with a few people. Or if I do go to the actual baseball, soccer, football game, I'm the person that's just watching the game, and that's all I'm concerned about. That's one way to figure out if you're more outgoing and reserved. And then on the other side, in the task versus people, let's put your spouse at mowing the lawn. If they're more task-oriented mowing the lawn, they're like a field marshal. They're going out there, they just want to get it done. They get up at 5:30 in the morning, and they just say, boom, 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 get her done. And then someone starts talking to them. If someone starts talking to them, they're like, oh, I just want to get the lawn done. Why is this person coming next to me and talking to me? So they can either come one or two perspectives. When the person starts talking to them, they could be like, all right, I'll engage with you a little bit. Hey, let me go grab you a rake. You can help me mow the lawn. Or if they're a little more reserved and task-oriented, they'll go over and try to ignore you or try to give the body language and like, hey, I'm just trying to get the task done. And they'll just focus on the task. If you take that same lawn and you put your spouse is more people-oriented, they don't get up at 5:30 in the morning. They get up at 10:30. McDonald's breakfast is almost done, and now they finally get to the lawn, and they come over, or whatever favorite breakfast place you go to. So breakfast is almost over. You're going into lunch. They finally get the task started. They don't even want to do the task, but they know their spouse will get angry at them if they don't. But then somebody talks to them, and they're like, ooh, a friend, and they don't even know them at all. And they start talking to them for like 3-4 hours, and the next thing you know, they pull them in for coffee or go on a bike ride or go do something else totally different, and they never get the task done. Or they could go over, and if that same person engages with them, they'll be friendly and whatnot, but they won't be as forward as pushing the relationship, but they won't push them away with the conversation. They'll still endure the conversation. So it's not a right thing. It's not a wrong thing. It's just different, the outgoing versus reserved, and the task versus people. Once you understand those two questions and have the answers for that for your spouse, we are a blend of everything, but once you understand the majorities of where they sit at day in and day out, that's when you can start understanding their communication style.
Oh, wow. I would never have thought of those questions. That's very enlightening. If I was to use that with my husband and myself, I would say I'm the outgoing one, he's the more reserved one. I'm the people one, and he's the task-orientated one. So now are we poles apart?
You are, yeah. Based on that, based on those questions, if that's where you gravitate to it. So if you're outgoing in people and he's reserved in task, you come from the inspiring style. So your motivation for doing stuff is fun, and then his motivation from the reserve and task style is the cautious style, and he's looking for quality answers, excellence, and value. So those two styles are kind of polarized in a sense. Yeah. So if you go into a party, you're thriving, he's dying. Yeah. If you go into a library, he's thriving and you're dying. Yeah. So it depends on the dynamics that you come together. But if you learn to adapt and adjust and visit those places, you're not changing how God's designed you. You're just visiting on what the other person is. That's when your relationship can go from surviving to thriving. Even in the worst case scenario is that you're just learning. It's learning relationship love. It's like it's going servant leadership. Whatever way you want to come towards it, it's basically just adjusting for that moment, for that season. Because I have to do that every day with my wife. I have to do that with my kids. I mean, even with the similar personality styles, the motivation and the drive and the speed, even for the same styles, like they might be just a higher drive than me, and I have to up my game to go over and love them effectively. So it's a balance in between, but it's really helped me. I mean, it almost destroyed my marriage not having this information because I was just with Clydesdale blinders on.
Right, got it. Yeah, without a doubt, I think the outgoing and the reserved one, that's been kind of from day one, because I was always the loud one, if you like, and my husband's quite the quiet one. Yeah, very interesting. So those two questions, ask your partner, your spouse, do it today. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, now this is a really good question. How do we fight better without losing heart?
Well, the first thing in the fighting is understanding yourself, because you're going to fight differently. So let's just take you and your spouse, since you mentioned your styles. You're gonna fight in the sense of keeping things fun, but if things can't go fun, you're going to tend to blame shift. That's
I'm a really good blamer.
And then your husband, based on his personality style, can get very critical. And it can point out everything that went wrong in the situation, the color you were wearing, the details, and everything else. And then when your statements are coming into the factor, you are blank negative. You are blank negative. I'm not going to say any negative terms, but we tend to do that. So if I say you are awesome, I'm accusing you of awesome. If I say you are negative word, then I'm accusing you of that negative word. So two things first to go over and deal with the fights is that understanding yourself and what's going to come out of you when those conflicts come up. And then two is to avoid as much as possible those you are statements. Those you are statements are positional statements. And you're putting that person in that positional statement. If you're edifying or building someone up, you want to say, hey, you are awesome, you are lovely, you are beautiful. Those are good times to use you are statements. But if you need to describe something negative in your relationship, it'd be better to use an I think, I feel, or when you statement. So, for example, I'd be like, I feel when you do X, this displays this. So let me try to contextualize more. So I feel rejected when you ignore me, and are you ignoring me? Or you can still use are you, but at least you're softening the blow when you say I think and I feel.
Instead
so
of
in that
you are ignoring me. Okay.
Yeah, you're ignoring me, you're this, you're that. Because
you're
that's
making
what we
me
do
feel
naturally.
rejected.
Yeah. And in those particular regards, we go over and so the high inspiring style is going to blame shift. Oh, I never do that. And this is when I go over and do this. And this is how I love you. And then the other person's like, oh, I can name 27 ways from Sunday. And if I had a video camera, I could go back and do that. and it just becomes a constant destroying when you actually work through the process. So those are the things to go over and to keep that thriving relationship. And the last thing I would say in that particular regard to fight well is you can't think of it as an if thing. It is going to be a when. So when you get into a fight, you have to make it, and this goes through Dr. Les and Les Parrott's book, The Good Fight, you have to make it a process. It's about fixing the process, not fixing the person. Because, so we have to look at it from a process base that, okay, if me and my wife have an argument about the laundry system and whatnot, it's not, you are messing up this laundry system, you are this. It's like, how do we come together to fix this process so we're both thriving? And for us, we had those arguments for a long time, and we decided, okay, let's compromise. I like organization, I like closets, I like drawers, I like systems. You like piles. Let's just make piles in the drawers, and as long as the drawers are closed, I'll be fine. You get your pile system, you're fine, and then go over and do that. And then it came a balance in between of like, okay, if we're going to do the pile system, because you grew up on that and I grew up in the military systematic system, let's just come to a terms of agreement of, okay, we'll bring it both together. So we fixed the process by taking both styles, which wasn't right, it wasn't wrong, it was different, and then came together so it's both right for each other. And that helped out huge.